Welcome to another edition of One on One with Mitch Lafon. Joining me this week, guitarist Magnus Karlsson. We talk about his new solo album, Kingdom of Rock, and the new Primal Fear album, Rulebreaker. Of course, Magnus joined Primal Fear a few years ago. Lots to talk about. We go over his entire career. Take a listen. Here is Magnus Karlsson. We are speaking with Magnus Karlsson. The new album is Kingdom of Rock under his free-for-all band name. Good day, Magnus. How are you?
Hello. Yeah, I'm fine. How are you?
Let me just put it this way. You are probably doing a lot better than I'm doing today, but hey, that's just the way life goes.
Yeah. Okay.
I gotta say the album is impressive. It's the second one under the Free Fall name. Let me just get started with that. You've done a whole bunch of albums over the years for Frontier Records where you've written, you've played, whether it's with Plas Von Dome or on Harry Hess's album and so on and so forth. What made you decide that it was time to put down Magnus Karlsson albums?
Yeah, because most of the albums and projects I do, I really love to do it, but it's always I have a plan. The record company asks me, can you write in this direction? Or the singer asks me to do it in a certain style. And that's great. But I miss to do something, totally free where I could decide everything. So that's the reason.
Right. And of course, now with the second album here, you've also got a bunch of vocalists on there. You've got Harry Hess, who's one of our local hometown Canadian boys, and you've got Tony Martin of Black Sabbath and all that. When you're writing the songs, though, do you write for their voice?
Yeah, always. I even try to sing a bit like them on the demos. So because I can't go to all the studios all over the world, so it will feel more comfortable for them to sing on the demos when we record the album. And so I think a lot about the singers. I listen to the stuff they made recently and what key sounds best and notes and everything. So I think a lot about it.
When you're taking the time to think about this and craft these songs and even do the demos with your vocal in sort of their style, why not just make a full Magnus album where you're doing everything, including all of the singing, and that you only sing on a couple of the tracks here? Why not just sing the whole thing and make it a truly solo album?
Yeah, that was the plan from the beginning. And then they asked, do you want to have a couple of guest singers? And I thought it was a great idea. And now it's a lot of guest singers. So I really like to write for other singers. I don't think it would be boring to have my voice maybe on a full album.
I don't agree, but your voice is great. But okay, let's talk to me about some of the singers that you chose. Jacob Samuel of the Poodles. They put out an album this year that I actually put in my top 10 of best albums of 2015. What was it like working with Jacob, and what do you think of the name of the band, the Poodles?
Yeah, that's strange because me and Jacob, we had a band for maybe 15 years ago called Midnight Sun. Right. So, and since that, I always wanted to do something more with him, and I always, liked his voice a lot. But then he started this band, the Poodles, and right before they started this band, he had this picture with him standing with some poodles. So, I don't know, maybe he likes them a lot. But he's a great singer. He can sing in any style, and I don't have to think about the range or anything. He can sing really high, and he really liked the song, so it was very cool to work with him again. And hopefully we will do it even more. And,
it would be great to have a project with you and Jacob.
Yeah, he's fantastic. And they actually, in the Poodles, the first album, they played a song from Midnight Sun. I think it's called Metal Will Stand Tall. It was the first single or something. I think. I'm not sure.
Yeah, back then. Tony Martin, he of course was in Black Sabbath. for a few years, and we haven't really heard a lot from him in the last couple of years. He would be a guy I certainly would love to sit and interview. What was it like working with Tony? Does he bring in some of that Black Sabbath ethic when he comes into the studio?
Yeah, he recorded it in his own studio, but he wanted to co-write. He wanted to change my lyrics a bit, and that was really good because it came out much better. and yeah, for me, this was really, really big because the Tony Martin albums with Black Sabbath, it's like, for me, it's like listen to Judas Priest and Iron Maiden. I listen so much to those albums, and I really like it. I think he's one of the greatest. And so I was very happy when he said yes. And I tried to write in that vibe, like Headless Cross and Tŷr, but maybe a bit more updated. And he still sings, fantastic. So that's my favorite track, I think, on the album. Oh,
it's a great track, and he's got a very distinct and unique voice. If I can, you've got another album that's coming out later. In fact, in 2016, Rulebreaker with Primal Fear, and the band and yourself will be in my backyard in Montreal on May 30th, actually, for a show, which I'm hoping to come out to see. What can you tell me about working on your fourth album with Primal Fear?
It just gets better for every album, and we are a great writing team. Me and Matt and Ralph writes the most of the stuff, and also on the last two albums we worked with Jacob Hansen in Denmark. He mixed the album, and it just sounds better and better, and it's very easy for us. We like the same style, so there's no discussions. We just have fun and write the songs. So that feels good. But then we have a strange situation because I don't tour so much, so I'm mostly with the band in the studio, and they have Tom that plays live, and he also plays a bit on the album now. So we are free guitarist, but I'm not doing so much live stuff at the moment.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that. You don't do the live shows. In fact, as far as I know, I don't think you've ever played Canada, or certainly not with Primal Fear.
No.
Why is that? Why not get out there and do the live thing?
I would love to do it, and I did a couple of tours here in Europe and South America, but I have, kids that needs me, and this band is touring for so long time. So I can't be away that much. It's not like going away a weekend or something. It's a lot of weeks.
Yeah,
that's
really
my situation now. But maybe in the future when the kids grow up, are a bit older,
Well, in fact, let me ask you about that, because before 2003. Before I had kids, I was on the road all the time, traveling for shows in LA and in San Diego and in Copenhagen, and I don't do anything really. If it's not a show in Montreal, it's very rare that you'll see me. How important is family and actually being there? How old are your kids at this point, by the way?
I have twins that are 6 years and one boy that are 8, so they are still young.
Yeah, mine are 12 and 9, and there's something to be said for being home and seeing them swim for the first time and go to kindergarten for the first time. And tell me about how important that is, because it obviously is more important in the sense of music, because you've made the choice that no, I'm going to stay home.
Yeah, I think it's different for everyone, but for me it's very important. When I toured before, after 1 week, I really suffered and wanted to be with them again. And they were so small, so we couldn't, Skype or. And for them, they didn't know 1 week or 1 month. They didn't get it really because they are small. So yeah, I can't be away that long. But maybe it's easier when they are a bit older. And then I also have to admit that. I really like to work in the studio a lot. That means a lot to me. So it's more important than the live stuff.
Is there a sense of stage fright? I mean, do you get somewhat nervous in front of the
No,
crowd?
no, absolutely not.
Okay.
That's no. I love to play live, and I did a lot. It's a lot, so it's not a problem. It's just it's so long. If it would be a couple of weeks now and then, that would be great. But now it's the last albums went very well, so the tours just get longer and longer. And that's great for the band, but not if you don't like to tour.
Right. Does that cause any kind of problem with the bands? I mean, they obviously love what you're doing on guitar, that they want to keep you in the studio and making records with them. But at some point, do they say, hey, look, we need a full-time member?
Yeah. They are so nice to me. But now we have a great compromise that Tom is back in the band and he can do all the live shows, and so it works. And if I want to come back and play live, I guess we would be 3 guitarists on stage. That would be cool.
Yeah, it would be like Iron Maiden, quite frankly.
Yeah,
So.
and we have a lot of harmonies all the time, so actually we need it.
Yeah. Let me ask you about another band that you work with, Plas Von Dome. A couple of years ago, the album Thunder in the Distance came out, and I just loved that album. I thought it was brilliant. I mean, I just really fell in love with it. And you got to work with, of course, Michael Kiske, who was in Halloween, and it's not a death metal album, right? It's not Halloween. What was it like working with Michael and having him sort of come away from that harder edge and be more melodic?
Yeah, for me, that's more a project, and I just wrote, and I didn't know much about it. It's a different producer for it, and but it's great. I'm a big fan of Michael Kiske, and but I also did Kiske Somerville albums together with Matt. We wrote and I met him earlier this year when we recorded the videos for that album, and that was great. I don't know how he still can sing those high notes, like nothing. It's incredible, and a great guy too. So, but actually, I like the harder stuff. So I try always when Frontiers make a lot of AOR stuff, and when they ask me, "Can you write for this?" Yeah, but I always try to push it a bit harder if I'm allowed.
Yeah, of course. And the City of Heroes album that came out earlier in 2015 was a great album. So where do you see yourself going from now? Do you go back to Free Fall and have a part 3 and a part 4? Do you just keep writing for all these different projects? Where do you see the career going?
Yeah, I don't plan so long. So now I have the a new Starbreaker album with Tony Harnell. We're working on it, and I also write with my bandmate Matt Sinner on the next Sinner album. And then we'll see. I don't know about Freefall. I said after the first Freefall album that I'm never going to do it again, because it's a lot of work to write a solo album and produce it and do everything on your own. And now after the second one, I said the same thing, but I'm already starting to, writing a singer list again. So we'll see what happens.
I'm looking forward to a third one, I think, because the second one is great. Now, you mentioned Starbreaker. The last album came out in 2008.
Yeah.
With Tony Harnell. He's, of course, gone on and joined Skid Row, and I personally think he's doing a great job with them.
Yeah, it's good too.
What's the timeline on the next Starbreaker? Is that something for 2016, or is that 2017, or it'll be what it'll be?
I really hope it will be 16. We are a bit late, actually, and that's because of Skid Row, because he's touring a lot. So the plan was that we would have the songs ready now, but I guess we will do it early next year, and then we'll see. That's always the problem when we work with great singers that sings in great bands. They are not available all the time.
Right, and of course Tony's one of the greatest singers. In terms of sound for Starbreaker, it is a heavy metal band. Is that something that you want to change the sound, or, since it's been 7 or 8 years since the last one? Or do you want to pick up where you left off and say, all right, this is what we did in 2008. That was great. Let's try that again.
Honestly, I always liked the songs, but I've never been really happy with the productions with Starbreaker. That it always be, when you send a mix to someone and sometimes it doesn't work out really 100%. So I hope we can do something better this time. Well, the production to make it bigger, and we'll see when we have the songs, and we'll decide how we will work with it.
Tell me about how the band got together, because at the time in 2004, 2005, Tony was of course still in TNT.
Yeah.
What was the genesis? Where did you two guys get together and say, hey, we need to make a band?
It was actually Serafino at Frontiers.
Right.
He's doing this a lot. He said, I have a singer. Do you want to, I don't know if it will be a project or if it will be a band, but it felt like a band. And we planned tour and stuff, but it never happened because of TNT and everything. It's difficult. It's always tricky, and now it's not easy for me to tour, as I said also. But the same way, I don't know if you heard Alan Landa. I wrote a couple of albums with them, and
yeah,
we got some great offers to headline festivals and stuff, but it's impossible. He was in Master Plan and Russell Allen in Symphony X.
Yeah, and I also believe he did Joel Hoekstra's 13 album and doing stuff with.
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
that was a great album, Joel. In fact, I spoke to Joel this morning.
Yeah,
he's
a great player.
He's a great player and a great. In fact, do you think that you'll ever do something with Joel, or?
I don't know. I haven't worked much with other guitarists. I'm just when I have guests, I mostly think of singers, but maybe that's a great idea to have a guest solo from
somebody else,
someone like that. Maybe he played too good. Right. It'll sound bad.
Yeah, he'll be better. No. Would you consider doing a totally instrumental album down the future?
If you asked me 10 years ago, I would say yes. But now I'm more interested in great songs with great singers. Maybe to make a instrumental song in the end of the album or something, but not a whole album. Honestly, I don't think I can make it interesting enough. A full album instrumental.
Yeah, and I've always joked that instrumentals are unfinished songs. So.
Yeah, but I like it.
Right.
When Steve Vai came out with his first albums, it was fantastic. But it's hard to make it interesting.
Yeah, keep somebody's attention for an hour. Yeah. Would you consider yourself more a songwriter or a guitarist?
Yeah, that's the same. I would say songwriter now, but if you asked me 10, 15 years ago, I would say guitarist. Before, I always practiced guitar, but now I'm always writing songs instead. So.
Of course, that's what the relationship with Frontiers is, where you're producing a lot of material for other artists. Other than the Starbreaker and Primal Fear album that's coming out in January, what other projects are you working with going into next year?
As I said, this Sinner album with Matt Sinner.
Right.
Yeah, that's a different style. It's great to mix. I like not every album is the same. We are writing more in a Thin Lizzy style, all bluesy vibe. So that's great.
Yeah,
that's what I have planned right now, and I get some offers, but I don't want to plan too long, So I'm still free to do what I want to do.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll get you on the road soon, Magnus. It's been an absolute pleasure. Kingdom of Rock is the new album. It is a great sounding album, and of course you've got Harry Hess of Harem Scarem on there, which is always important.
Yeah, he's great. I did a guest solo on his album, and it was I haven't heard, HAREM SCAREM so much, but when I heard that song, that was so great. So I asked him if he wanted to do one song on my album, and he did a fantastic job. All the harmonies and everything, perfect.
Yeah, he's absolutely fantastic. And I guess we'll finish with this. I forgot to mention Joe Lynn Turner, of course, having done stuff with Purple Rainbow, Malmsteen, one of the greatest voices of rock.
Yeah, I agree.
What was it like? By the way, did you get all these guys in your studio, or was this done sort of the new fashion way where you sent tracks via email to each other?
Yeah, we work by email, and that's why I work so hard on the demos and try to sing really good on them, so make it easier for them. John Lande came over to my studio, and also Rebecca Delamotte, but the rest recorded in their own studio or rented a studio.
Yeah, there you go. Magnus, absolute pleasure. Thank you for your time today.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And there you have it, folks, my interview with Magnus Karlsson. The new album is called Kingdom of Rock. Later in 2016, Primal Fear will release Rulebreaker, so check that out as well when it's available. And check me out on Twitter at Mitch Lafon, and please head over to the One-on-One with Mitch Lafon Facebook page. Like it and send me a note for your chance to win 2 tickets to Black Sabbath in Montreal on February 23rd, 2016. Again, that's a pair of tickets for Black Sabbath in Montreal on February 23rd, 2016. Thank you for listening, and we'll do this again soon. Bye for now.